Could I invite the children up? I have a story about McDonald's French fries. It is always good to see all of you. Thanks for being here. How many likes McDonald's French fries? Right. The rest of you, your parents don't treat you to that. Hey, so yeah, this Father Anthony told this story this morning. I liked it. He was telling the story about this dad who takes his son to a McDonald's and buys him a big, serving of McDonald's French fries. And the kid sits there and he is eating these French fries and he is having a great time because, of course, they're really good, right? So you picture this? And then dad, sitting there across from him, decides, I think I'd like one too. And he reaches over and he grabs one French fry. And do you know what the boy did? Looked at his dad and said, "Hey, those are mine. Get your own." Ooh, you wouldn't do that, right? You wouldn't do that. But, it's interesting. His dad was pretty taken aback because he was thinking like, "Hey, wait. I gave you those French fries. In some ways, those French fries are mine, and I just wanted you to enjoy them. Don't you think you could have shared like just one French fry?" So do you remember? You remember who this is? You remember his name? No, you don't. Oh, well, this is Junior. Hi. Right? This is Junior. His real name is Bartholomew Jr., and he's Junior because there's a Bartholomew Sr. But Bartholomew was given to me a couple years ago by an adult who just thought I would enjoy him, and I have. He sits on my dresser in the rectory, kind of keeps track of what goes on in the room, maybe keeps watch over me, sort of thing. And I like him because every time I look at him, he kind of makes me smile and that sort of thing. But I kind of like those McDonald's French fries. I have to be really careful to think that this bear is not mine. See, I think the bear is mine to take care of. And so I am expecting sometime I'm going to go to the hospital and I'm going to find a child in the hospital who's, it's rough being sick, and it's even rougher to being sick in a hospital. And I'm thinking that someday I'm going to meet a kid who needs a friend. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say to him, "Hey, I got something you'll like," and I'm going to run back to the rectory and I'm going to go and I'm going to give him Bartholomew. I'm going to say, "Hey, why don't you take him, because he'll make you feel better and he'll protect you." And I'm just going to give Bartholomew away. Now, question is, do you think you could do something like that? With your toys, rather than think of them as my toy, do you think you could think of them as, well, these are my toys to take care of? And maybe sometimes I just need to share them with other people. Maybe sometimes, maybe not too often, I need to give my toy away. Think you could do that? All right? It's hard to do at times. If I ever get to the point where I got to give this little guy away, I don't think it's going to be a real happy day necessarily, but I'm sure it's going to be the right thing to do. And I hope I can do it with a smile on my face. Okay? Yeah, so thanks very much. I really appreciate your being here. Let me talk to the adults about the adult version of fluffy bears. All right? So for the next 3 weeks, Father Anthony and I want to talk about stewardship. A little series, if you will, and that is a word. Stewardship is a word that for some people, they don't know what it is. Other people, it conjures up a little bit of angst, a little bit of fear in them, because as I pointed out in the bulletin article, some people associate the word stewardship, that's code for give money to the church. Right? And that's not what it is. And so we're not talking about, the point of this is over 3 weeks, we're not going to get to the end and say, "Oh, by the way, now that we talked about stewardship, get out your checkbooks." That's not what we're doing. The finances here, they're not amazing, but they're fine. The issue here is stewardship is an important part of being a disciple of Christ. And so we want to take a couple weeks and talk about that. And this gospel passage is a great opening to do it. So for those of you that don't know anything about this term, stewardship starts with the idea that I was trying to convey to the children, that everything you and I have, our time, our talents, and yes, our money, all of it comes from God. That you and I don't actually own anything. That if you get in this mindset, what you realize is that what God has done is God has given me this stuff. It's clearly some of us more things than others, more talent than others, more money than others. But God has given it to us, and he wants us to take care of it, to be a good steward of it. And what that boils down to most of the time is you have to ask yourself a simple question. What is the best use of this thing? What is the best use of this talent I have? What is the best use of this time I have? You right now, I mean, you decided that the best use of an hour or so on a Sunday morning was to be here, to be with the Lord, and that's a wonderful use of your time. You know, I was trying to convey to the kids, I need to ask myself, well, what's the best use of this little stuffed bear? And maybe right now, the best use of it, he's sitting on my dresser. But at some other point, the best use of that bear is in the arms of a sick boy. I don't know. But I have to keep asking myself, what's the best use? So take a look at this story. I was wondering if you could look at this parable through the eyes of stewardship. This landowner, he is undoubtedly richer than everybody else in the story. You know, people that owned land back then and could hire workers, much as today, you would expect that they're doing very well. And so he's got all this money, all these resources, and the question is, what's he do with it? You know, now clearly he uses it to pay his laborers. That's just a bill, much like you and I. You know, you get to a certain point of the month, the electric bill shows up, and the best use of some of your money at that point is to pay the electric bill, absolutely. But this guy, it seems to me, goes one step farther. I don't know if you know much about first century labor markets, but it was a lot of people were day laborers. They worked a day and they got paid at the end of the day. As a matter of fact, in Jewish law, it was considered a sin, if you will, a violation of Jewish law not to pay your workers at the end of the day. Not to say to them, oh, well, I'll pay you at the end of the week sort of thing, the sort of stuff you and I are used to, because there was no banks, anything like that. And so the expectation was you paid people at the end of the day. And so living paycheck to paycheck, to use our expression, what that meant for them was literally living day to day. And that meant that it mattered whether you got work on a given day. Because if you didn't get to work on this day, you didn't have any money. Potentially that might mean you didn't get enough to eat that day, or your family would not get enough to eat. This landowner clearly knows this. And so as he goes out, you know, the first time and he hires his workers, fine. But he is willing to go back a couple more times looking for more help. I don't know if he actually needs all that help in his vineyard or not, but I think he knows that these guys need work, and he is willing to give them work, even if it's not a full day's work. And at the end of the day, knowing that, you know, maybe those people that he found to work just 1 hour, they needed the job. And even though they only worked 1 hour, I guess he was willing to say, well, this isn't because you were a lazy bum. This is because no one hired you. Well, I'll hire you for this 1 hour, but I'm going to give you the full day's wage. He thought the best use of his money was to pay all those workers. To put it in a business sense, he thought the best use of his money was to pay more than he had to for his labor. He didn't want to, you know, just do the bare minimum, because doing that would have meant that he thought the best use of the money was to keep it. He didn't seem to think that was what he wanted. And consider the workers as they leave. Picture, for example, all these workers as they leave, that they encounter some beggar. What happens? The people that worked only part of the day and got a full day's wage, they were exposed, if you will, to the generosity of this landowner. They saw him, how he thought about his money. And I'm just thinking that if they came across a beggar, they're not likely to look at this guy and go like, no, I worked, you didn't, I'm keeping my money, and then pass them by. My guess is that they would also be good stewards of this little extra, if you will, this abundance that they got, and that they would be open to sharing it. Oh, somehow I've been blessed with this gift, which I would not have expected, and so let me share that gift with others. But the people that worked the whole day, the people that were mad at the landowner, the people that grumbled, and they kept we worked the whole day, you owe us. That mentality, that's not a stewardship mentality. They're thinking, I earned it. You and I can do the same thing. You get your paycheck, you get your check from whatever your source of income, and you can look at that and you can say, I earned this. This is mine. It's mine. It's mine. I get to do what I want to with it. But see, the Lord's trying to teach us, no, that's not kind of the way this works. You've been given this to take care of. What's the best use of it? See, I picture these servants that are so upset. They're so closed in now on themselves, they would walk right past somebody in need about money or anything. They would just walk right past them because, nope, it's mine. So the question for us today is, who do you want to be? Do you want to be this landowner, like this landowner, or like the other servants who, seem to have this generosity of heart, who look at this and say, wow, this doesn't belong to me. I'm just going to take care of it. And what's the best way for me to take care of it? And a lot of that's going to go to pay the bills and go out to eat and things like that. But there are going to be lots of moments where I need to ask myself, what's the best use of this? And maybe the best use of it is indeed to give it away to somebody. We can be that person, or we can be like these guys that work the whole day and now they're closed in on themselves and they're like, no, it's mine, you can't have it. And be, greedy, if you will, selfish. Those are things we don't want anybody ever to say about us, and we don't, I think, want to be that way. So the idea of learning about stewardship is learning to see, how can I do this? How can I get to a point where it doesn't matter what it is, whether it is my money or my time or little bears, that I look at it and I ask myself, hey, I've been given this, but what's the best use of it? Maybe for now I'm just supposed to take care of it. Maybe I'm just supposed to invest my money right now, but maybe there'll come a time when it'd be like, oh no, I think the best use of this money is this cause, to give this away, to help this person, to do whatever. That's what we want to be open to. The idea of beginning to learn to think of living a stewardship life. I've been on this journey myself for a long, long time. I've been on it very seriously for maybe the last 15, 20 years. It is not an easy journey to be on, but I will tell you with full confidence, I would not go back and take a different path for anything. There is no way that I would go back and live the way I was before I took this on. I am much more joyful. I do not find the many of the burdens of life just aren't there because of trying to live this attitude. And I can assure you too, the Lord is still teaching me about this. There are days when I look at my finances and realize, I think I need to talk about this. I think I need to ask myself, wait, what is the best use of this? Because maybe I'm not always making the best use of it. It's hard, but it is worth it. And I trust over these next couple weeks, you'll start to take a step on the journey of stewardship.